So 10:31 now, waiting the president momentarily. In the meantime, though, more than 24 Senate Republicans are pressing for answers on Afghanistan. The lawmakers sending a letter to the president demanding to know the number of people left behind, including Americans and green card holders and visa applicants. The senator leading that charge, Tom Cotton, the Republican from Arkansas. Sir, thank you for your time. I watched this go down early in the week with Mike Gallagher, a House Republican colleague of yours. It failed miserably. Democrats shot it down. It went nowhere. Can this go anywhere?
Bill, the administration is going to have to tell the American people the truth sooner rather than later, but we need it sooner because currently they're flying in approximately 4,000 Afghans a day, and we don't really know who many of these people are because this is one of the biggest bait and switches in American politics. Joe Biden appealed to the generosity and the sense of honor of the American people who rightly wanted to save all those loyal Afghans who worked alongside our troops for the last 20 years. But his own administration now admits that they left the vast majority, that's their words, the vast majority of those Afghans who had been reviewed and vetted in Afghanistan. That means that tens of thousands of Afghans who had no direct connection to our military were evacuated out of the country and now are en route to our country in the days ahead. Now, they say that they're going to vet these Afghans, but that's really not possible. I mean, Afghanistan is a third world country, and now the Taliban are in control of it. There's no local police department or FBI or credit check you can run on people sitting in Germany or Qatar or elsewhere. So we really don't know if they're a security threat to our country or if they accept some of the basic principles of America, like constitutional government or religious pluralism and toleration or equality and rights for women. So the Biden administration is going to have to provide these answers soon, and we need them very soon.
Okay, that's another question. Agreed. You know, we'll get to that in time. But in the immediate moment, I am told through Michael Waltz out of Florida that there are Americans and there are SIVs right now that are at airports in different parts of the country that are ready to leave. But the State Department has not secured, and the airplane's ready to go. But through third countries, they have not secured the ability for them to go through the area, to stop for refueling, which essentially means the entire operation is frozen in time. Is that your understanding now, Senator?
Bill, we've had similar conversations with third-party organizations or American citizens and green card holders who are scattered around Afghanistan. I don't want to get into the details about where those people are or where the planes are, but it's our understanding that there are third-party nations that are willing to accept those aircraft, yet the State Department won't sign off on their departure because of concerns about bureaucratic red tape or the lack of air traffic control. I understand that in most cases you might not want to fly with air traffic control, but when you have Taliban gangs chasing you down, ready to kill you, I think that's a risk that most of those people seeking to flee Afghanistan, our fellow citizens or those who serve loyally beside us, would be willing to take.
Okay,
it's just another example of what I mean by Joe Biden screwing it up, coming and going. He left too many people behind, but he brought out a lot of people who don't have a right to come to the United States.
Okay, so help me understand the system then. What could we do to make it work now? If there are people at different airports in Herat or Kandahar or Mazar Sharif, what would need to be done to get them released now?
Bill, my understanding is that all it would take is for the United States government to tell the third-party nations where those flights are ready to fly, to let them fly there, that we support that decision, and we'll help you once our fellow citizens, once our green card holders, once those with valid visas get to your country, get back to the United States. Yet the State Department, probably because of bureaucratic red tape and maybe because they want to turn the page and get Afghanistan out of the news, is not giving those assurances to third nation countries.
Okay.
That's what we've been hearing for a couple days now.
Okay, so we're going to follow that. The president said the other day, for those remaining Americans, there is no deadline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out. Do you believe that?
No, that's just another broken promise by Joe Biden. He promised the Taliban he'd be out by August 31. He promised American citizens he'd stay until they got out. He already kept his promise to the Taliban. He broke his promise to Americans, and he's continuing to break it because there are American citizens who are trying to get out of the country right now. There are generous Americans and other third-party non-governmental organizations who are trying to help them get out of the country. And the United States government is not doing everything it can to evacuate our countrymen.
Wow, this may be a question of time, as I'm certain that you are well aware. Senator, thank you for coming back today. Tom Cotton, the Republican from Arkansas. Thank you for your time.